Mika entered her office, rubbing her head. As she sat down behind her desk, a headache beginning to set in. As a silvery orb began to emerge from the wall behind her. "Are the headaches beginning again, Mika?" Exovol exclaimed, sounding a bit worried. "You've been having them ever since you underwent this cosmetic surgery." "Yeah, I know, Exovol. It's a side effect. But according to Dr. Ricola, this was the best option." "Mika, I know you want your vengeance, but perhaps you should just deal with the extra danger of being an enemy to the Brotherhood. Destroy him now. I'm worried about the stress you're under. I mean, the amount of effort you're putting into vengeance, the suffering you're dealing with. I do not know if it is sustainable, Mika." "Not you too, Exovol. Trust me, I've heard enough preaching from Obadal. And Dolus and Mia haven't been any better. Neither is Oscar. Everyone thinks I'm concerning myself too much with vengeance, putting too much on the line. It's just not something I need to hear right now. This is the path I have chosen, not just for myself, but for the crew of the Exovol as well. This is a hard path that I'm trying to walk. Yes, trying to destroy him right now might functionally achieve my goal, allow me to claim my vengeance. But it also puts the lives of everyone on board my crew. If the Brotherhood comes gunning for us, which they have a large amount of resources to do, then other people's lives will be caught in the mix. Right now, all I have is a battle. One battle stands between me and the vengeance that I seek, and no one else has to get caught in the crossfire, which is a far more preferable option than myself and anyone who's a member of my crew looking over our shoulders for the rest of our natural-born lives. The reach of the Brotherhood is long. They have chapters nearly everywhere in this sector, and from what I've heard, even chapters outside of it. They don't actually originate from this sector. No good captain would ever put their crew at that much risk. I can't afford to draw them into a never-ending conflict against the Brotherhood. I have to be able to settle this in a timely manner. Well, at least as much so as possible, without putting their lives in more danger than I need to. I pay them to follow me and do what I tell them to. But while I expect danger to their lives to be part of their job, that doesn't mean I want that danger to be never-ending. There's a difference between a hazardous gig and being never-endingly hunted, and I won't subject my crew to it." It was at that point that the alarm began to sound for the door to her office. "Yes, come in," Mika said, as the doors opened, and in strolled Dr. Ricola, with a medical case to her side. "Well, how are you doing? By the looks of it, I'd say the headaches are returning." "Yeah, Doctor," Mika replied. "Exactly how long am I going to have to deal with this?" "Well, until such time as you revert back to your normal self and undergo the reversion procedure." "Okay, so as long as I'm using this little disguise, could you explain to me again why I have to deal with these headaches? I mean, I know it's a side effect, but why?" "You must understand, Mika. You're trying to hide your true nature in a manner which cannot be easily discerned by others. Trying to, in fact, hide your true race by pretending to be the race of another. But this has very serious consequences. Your natural biology is in confrontation with that of the disguise that you're wearing. The chemical compounds necessary to sustain your skin tone, hair color, the color of your iris, completely contradict that of your natural genetic layout. And basically, your real body is fighting the illusion that you're enforcing on it. Your original genetics are trying to reassert themselves. Meanwhile, the compounds and substances used to maintain the illusionary appearance you have act much like a poison to your natural body. So, your body is in confrontation with itself, Dr. Ricola said, as she walked up to Mika and placing the case down on the desk beside her, opening it up to an array of different tools, devices, and syringes, injectors, and things of that nature. Now, a quick examination to see how your body is tolerating the changes, Dr. Ricola said, as she took out a device and began to scan Mika's irises. "So, how severe are the headaches?" she asked, pointing a device into Mika's eye and scanning it thoroughly, bright light seeming to peer out from the end pointing into Mika's eye, which did not help the headache. "Well, they're about the same, popping up at least once a day, twice if I'm unlucky. In terms of severity, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd place them at a 3 or a 4. Bothersome, but not crippling," Mika replied, as Dr. Ricola switched to her other eye. "Yes, it's as expected. Your Oki physiology and genetics are quite pervasive. In most cases, I'd say having strong genetic traits and a powerful immune system was a great thing. But in terms of your disguise, it works to your disadvantage. Your Oki blood is trying to reassert itself quite vigorously. It is already beginning to try to undo the changes that I've made, and working even faster than I would have expected. It appears Oki immune systems are quite extraordinary. Your ability to heal, adapt, and overcome physical ailment and injury is quite extraordinary. After delving into your biology much deeper, I've discovered that Oki have such long lifespans for a reason. You have regenerative capabilities far beyond that of most other races. In fact, I would bear to guess that you've never been sick a day in your life, have you?" Dr. Ricola said, as she put down the device she was scanning Rika's irises with, and began to check over her skin tone and hair. "No, I haven't. In fact, I've never actually known anyone who was Oki to get sick. I've heard of other races getting sick, but I've never actually seen myself or any other Okis suffer from any sort of ailment." "That's not surprising," Dr. Ricola replied. "Your immune systems are quite stubborn, adaptive, and strong. Once again, normally these things are an asset, but right now, they're working counterproductive to what you're trying to do. You probably can't tell yet, but your Oki regenerative abilities have already begun to break down the changes that I've made. Your body is altering itself back. Even the skeletal alterations that I made have slightly altered, shifting back towards your normal state." "What?" Mika replied, shocked. "You're telling me that it's undoing the process?" "Yes, precisely," Dr. Ricola replied. "At the current rate, within a month, your body will have fully reverted back to its natural state. no operation required. If left unchecked, as the time passes, you will begin to look more and more like your old self. Even your bones shifting back, your skin tone and hair returning, the color of your irises, everything. But luckily you have me here to assist you. After all of the research I've done, and many hours of work, I finally created an effective countermeasure, at least a momentary one. And Dr. Ricola said, taking several containers out of the case beside her, inserting a vial into an injector, and placing it against Mika's arm, giving her an injection. That stung for a moment, but only a moment. And there we are, Dr. Ricola said, as she clasped the remaining vials and placed them inside of a holster of sorts, sort of a carrying case, complete with an inoculation device. Now, you're going to need to carry this with you. I've made up a supply of the medication that you'll need to take. Most of the substance that you'll be injecting yourself with is simple maintenance, medications that help your body deal with the negative side effects of the changes to your physique. The chemical compounds that create your hair and skin tone are toxic and having a negative effect. The medications within will neutralize those toxic effects and prevent the headaches. But there's a much more important compound working within this mix, the one that's more important to the sustainability of this process, and that is a genetic dampening compound and an immunosuppressant. These two will work in unison to suppress your OK immune system and the pervasive nature of your genetic abilities to regenerate from things. They will keep it at bay so that it will not alter your physical state back. However, mind you, Mika, this is only a stopgap. At most, I can surmise that it will buy you an extra 2 months, at which point you will adapt to it. And that's running on the long game. It's possible you could adapt faster. As I said, it's a stopgap. Whether sooner or later your OK immune system will adapt to it and make the immunosuppressant and the DNA suppressant completely ineffective. Your body treats them like viruses and will eventually become immune to them, developing such powerful defenses that the suppressants can no longer function, at which point the reversion process will continue.